It's tough to pinpoint a precise moment where it happened, but Season 2 of our realistic Borussia Dortmund career mode has kind of got away from us. I think it's easy to look back on that really difficult month of November where we won only one game, but honestly, I think you can look back at any month and pick out a handful of things that we could have done better. But whatever the cause, the reality is we are no longer in the Champions League and we are just 6th in the Bundesliga. However, we still have ample opportunities to salvage our season, beginning here in today's episode. In addition to Augsburg, will be taken on by Leverkusen, Union Berlin, and Borussia Mönchengladbach, all of whom sit just above us in the Bundesliga. 12 points ahead of us with just 11 games left to play. I think Bayer Leverkusen in third place are slightly out of reach for us. However, I think it's essential that we beat Mönchengladbach and Union Berlin in today's episode. So for that reason, I will be playing those two games and showing you the highlights. We'll be quick simming Leverkusen and Augsburg. And our featured game of today's episode will be our DFB Pokal semi-final matchup against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Union Berlin continue to overperform. Not only are they above us in the Bundesliga, but they've also made the round of 16 in the Champions League, something we failed to do ourselves. And Wolfsburg gave us some real trouble a couple of episodes ago as they beat us 2-1 at home. However, I think we have to consider ourselves favourites for that competition. If we're able to win it and sneak into a European place via the Bundesliga, I think we have to consider that a successful season despite the early and frequent disappointments. We're going to have to do all that without Karim Adeyemi. He's been a standout player for us this season, but he's not going to be playing anymore for us this season, having broken his toe. So Max Bayer comes in on the right-hand side in his place, and I got excited for a minute there. I was looking on the right-hand side for our result, for our scoreline. It's actually Bayer Leverkusen on the right, and it's Leverkusen that come away with the 3-1 win. Matoma grabs a goal late, but the game was already dead by that point. Regardless, we are going to travel to Union Berlin with the same 11 that started against Leverkusen. Despite being the away side, we dominated the game from the first whistle, creating a number of opportunities. Union Berlin were content to sit back and try and hit us on the counter-attack. It was a strategy that worked well for them. They defended their penalty area admirably, and deep into the second half, the score remained 0-0. And that allowed Berlin, with one of their few attacks of the game, to take advantage of one of our few lapses of concentration at the back and open the scoring. But we continued to dominate the game. We continued to plug away, and Julian Brandt almost leveled things up. And Brandt then made way for Merlin Röhl, who was the architect of our equaliser, pulling the ball back across the 6-yard box and forcing an own goal from the Berlin defender. So it's a disappointing result, but a far from disappointing performance. I can't find too much from the performance to criticise, to be honest. We did more than enough to win the game. We were solid defensively. We played through the lines. We created a number of opportunities. We held Union Berlin to a handful of half chances. It was just one of those days where the ball just wouldn't hit the back of the net for us. Today's video is sponsored by Enigma Football, the UK's leading supplier of football shirt mystery boxes. Whether you're looking for a fun way to expand your own football shirt collection, or you're looking for a unique gift for the diehard football fan in your life, Enigma Football have got you covered. Their mystery boxes start at just $34.99, which is almost half the standard retail price, and you can be 100% sure that their shirts are authentic because they get them straight from the clubs and manufacturers themselves. And you can reduce that price even further by using code LAMBZY at the checkout for 10% off your first order. That code applies to any single football shirt mystery box, and it also applies to the first month of any mystery box subscription package, where you receive a fresh new shirt on your doorstep every single month. You can be sure you'll get a shirt that you like too. You can ask Enigma Football to send you a shirt from a specific league with a specific color or pattern, or to avoid certain teams. And if you still don't like what they send, you have 60 days to either return or exchange it. So head over to Enigma Football and place your order today. The link is in the description, and be sure to use code LAMBZY at the checkout for 10% off your first order. Shout out to Enigma Football for sponsoring the video and for hooking me up with a couple of shirts, including a Dortmund shirt for this series. Now let's get back to the video. We'll need a similarly good performance if we're going to come away with a result against Borussia Mönchengladbach, an important game not only for its Bundesliga implications, but also because it might give us an idea of how they're going to play later in the episode in the DFB Pokal. As we did against Union Berlin, we got off to a bright start in this one. Yusufa Moukoko testing the Mönchengladbach keeper early on. Louis Waters too was tested a little more often in this one though, but once again he rose to the occasion. But after the resulting corner, Mönchengladbach were left exposed at the back. Max Bayer and Karol Mitoma exploiting that. Mitoma finishing to make it 1-0 just before the half. Didn't take long for Mönchengladbach to equalise after the halftime break though. Kleindienst finding far too much space in the penalty area. But for once, it was defensive lapse from our opposition that allowed us to grab the winner. Serhu Guirassy bursting through on goal and firing past the Gladbach keeper to make it 2-1. As Bayern Munich continue to run away at the top of the Bundesliga, Leipzig and Leverkusen continue to solidify the 2 spots behind them. I think that win over Gladbach could prove to be very, very important come the end of the season. The battle for 4th place definitely intensifying and the pack definitely narrowing. Our next opponents, Augsburg, however, are battling just to stay out of the relegation zone. So it's imperative that we come away with the victory as we host Augsburg at Signal Iduna Park. And indeed, we do. Julian Brandt getting on the score sheet in the first half. Yusufa Moukoko popping up with another goal late on. We set Moukoko the task of leading the team in goals and assists this season. And although that goal puts him one step closer, he's actually not leading the way at the moment. That's Max Bayer with 15. Both Guirassy and Moukoko have 14 goal contributions between them. Moukoko has played by far the fewest games of the 3 though. Guirassy won't be available for our next match though, so it will be the youngsters Bayer and Moukoko leading the line. So without further ado, let's head over to Signal Iduna Park for a rematch against Mönchengladbach in arguably our biggest game of the season so far. So our salvage mission in today's episode has been somewhat successful. I would have preferred a win against Union Berlin, of course. But other than that, I don't really think that we can fault the team almost in any way, as Moukoko looks to slip Bayer in behind immediately. Bayer brings it down on his chest and slips it past the keeper. What an unreal goal. Moukoko stealing the ball away on the halfway line. Pinging an absolute Trent Alexander-Arnold-esque ball into the path of Max Bayer, who brings it down with one touch on his chest and fires past the keeper with a second. A 0.13 XG is probably even generous. What a finish. Moukoko and Max Bayer combining for another goal contribution each. And 2 minutes into this game, already we have the lead. Haven't even had time to explain my game plan for this particular game. And I don't really need to explain it. It's just been demonstrated there as Mitoma looks to get in behind for a second time. Strikes from range, is blocked. But I was all ready to explain how we're going to be playing a little bit more direct today. Because something I thought that we could exploit based on the first game against Gladbach in this episode in the Bundesliga, as Brandt puts in a good foot to force a throw in as well. Gladbach play quite a narrow 4-2-3-1, as Brandt can't cut it out this time. They do commit players forwards, and they do leave themselves exposed at the back. They do tend to press high as well. At least they did in that first game. So I think we're going to find success playing a little bit more direct today rather than committing fully to the tiki-taka. And that's exactly what we've managed to do there with Moukoko and Max Bayer to grab an early lead in this game. I don't think we need to fully commit to one approach or the other. I don't think we just lump the ball forward every time we get it by any means. And I think when we can afford to keep possession, we do. But I think we have to be looking to play on the front foot. When we win possession from Mönchengladbach, I think we have to look forward first, rather than just look to keep the ball. Mitoma drives, beats his man, who makes a really good recovery challenge, to be fair. Forces a corner as Nuri Sahin looks on. Arguably his biggest game as Dortmund manager thus far. Brandt delivers, finds Schlotterbeck, who turns it towards goal. Parried away by the keeper, just kind of thrust his hands out toward the header. Wasn't a particularly powerful one. Brandt can't quite get there. Does get the lucky bounce and is punished for some reason. No idea what the referee has seen there. But Max Bayer and Yusufa Moukoko look absolutely unreal up front, both having absolutely incredible seasons. And I could see it coming from Moukoko. I predicted it with that objective before the season even began. I didn't really see it coming from Max Bayer, I have to be honest. I thought Bayer would continue to just be kind of a role player, a rotational player, an impact substitution with that unbelievable pace. But he is really starting to solidify himself as one of the first names on the team sheet, arguably. Oh, Brandt just puts it slightly too far in front of Moukoko. And come the end of the season, we are going to be forced to sell two of our best players. And I think the emergence of Max Bayer is probably going to ameliorate the pain that we will feel from selling those players somewhat. We have failed our Champions League objective, which was to make the semi-final. So we are forced to sell two of our top players at the end of the season. And we will be doing what I explained at the very beginning of the series this time around. Based on the January transfers in real life and rumours and just real life happenings, it made sense to sell the likes of Donyell Malen and Emre Can at the end of season 1. At the end of season 2, we will be selecting who we're going to sell randomly. We're going to take the top 5 players in our squad in terms of overall, put them through a randomizer and see who we are forced to sell. So those players will be Guirassy, Julian Brandt, Nico Schlotterbeck, Marcel Sabitzer and Felix Metscher. So certainly if we are forced to sell Guirassy, the emergence of Max Bayer, as we said, is going to ameliorate the pain somewhat. Because Moukoko and Max Bayer are establishing themselves firmly as the future of this club up front. Julian Brandt almost doubles the lead. Great run from Moukoko in behind, just to draw the defenders away from Julian Brandt, who looks good cutting in off that right-hand side. And will deliver the corner once again. This time in search of Kivior. And it is knocked down towards Anton, who strikes. I think it was Bayer knocking it down there. And Bayer pressing high. Apologies for missing an episode, by the way. There was no Saturday episode. I have been ill, a bit under the weather. I'm still feeling it somewhat, so I might not be on top of my game. May still sound a little bit bunged up as well, so apologies for that too. Big cross towards the back post. Jan Couto heads clear. Oh, and Nico Schlotterbeck can't put the foot in, and again we concede. We just cannot keep teams off the scoreboard. Interesting celebration. I thought Schlotterbeck had done well there, but it's the quick feet and through the legs of Anton. And we just cannot keep teams off the scoreboard, no matter what we try, no matter how we configure ourselves defensively. And that's a poor pass from Metscher. And when we score goals, we can't prevent ourselves from conceding. And when we play well defensively, as we did against Union Berlin earlier in the episode, we just can't seem to score. It's always one or the other. We can keep a clean sheet, or we can score ample goals ourselves. Oh, we have players, 2 players over on that left-hand side, Matoma and Makoko. Brandt couldn't find either. But we can keep a clean sheet, we can score ample goals. We can't do them both in the same game. This season at the very least. Good save, Louis Waters. I think we've seen already in today's episode as well the shortcomings of Louis Waters. We are giving him his opportunity to win the job, but it is looking more and more like we're going to have to buy a true first-team goalkeeper heading into Season 3 if we really want to be competitive. Matoma just drives. Again, uses the run of Makoko, and it's a poor pass in the end. Really poor pass. I think if we want to be competitive, I think we have to do better than Louis Waters. He's just too short. He's 5'10" at 18 years of age. How much more is he going to grow? Maybe a couple of extra inches and he would still be undersized for a top level goalkeeper. So I think we're going to have to spend a big chunk of change on a true #1 goalkeeper heading into Season 3. Bart Verbruggen is top of my shortlist. However, I'm not sure if he's going to be a bit too expensive. He's probably going to be around 80 million. Makoko from range, blocked. And that would not only break the Dortmund transfer record once again, it would basically, actually, it would more than double the transfer record, which currently sits at 38 million euros, which we did spend on Karo Matoma. So if you have any suggestions for goalkeepers we could pursue, then feel free to drop their names in the comments below. Robin Hack for Mönchengladbach. Just 10 minutes to go until half time. The tie does stand at 1-1. Probably should have looked into the format of the DFB Pokal a little more. I assume if we're drawing at the end of 90 minutes, we simply go to extra time and then potentially penalties. Not 100% certain of that though. We will of course try and win the game in the 90. Felix Metscher. Matoma. Cuts in off the left. Drops it into the feet of Max Bayer. Julian Brandt. Jan Kuto on the overlapping run just strikes. Comfortable save for Garcia in the end. Gladbach playing very similarly to how they did play in that first game. So I think we're going to be able to continue to exploit them and create several more opportunities before this game is over. We're just going to have to make sure that A, we take one or more of those opportunities, and B, we keep Gladbach off the scoreboard for a second time. Nicely worked here. Can we finish? We can't. Max Bayer with a shot blocked and out for a corner. Nice little move there though. I think those are the kind of passing patterns we need to try and exploit if we are going to grab a second goal in this game. Brandt finds Schlotterbeck, and it's a header. They are few and far between in FC25 at the moment, but Schlotterbeck has as good a chance of scoring a header as anybody, and he's done exactly that, almost on the stroke of half-time. Julian Brandt with a pinpoint delivery. Schlotterbeck boxing out his man, rising highest, and managing to fire past Garcia to give us a second goal in the game. The second goal that we were desperate for. The second goal that we thought we might have to wait until the second half to grab. And as we said, we just need to keep Gladbach off the scoreboard again. We can hold them to a single goal, we progress to the final. Zabica. One thing I have tried in today's episode as well is Dropping our defensive line back a little. I've tended to play with it fairly high, between 50 and 60. However, I've dropped it back to between 35 and 40 for today's episode. And what that's done is just allowed the midfield to drop back a little deeper. Kind of onto the edge of our penalty area, rather than the back four taken up or setting up shop on the edge of the penalty area. Really, it's those two centre midfielders now. Sabitzer makes it 3. What a finish! And we are firmly in control of this game now. Right on the stroke of half-time. Zabitz has been very, very quiet this season. Hasn't made a big impact for us at all, but he's made a huge impact here. One of the names that will be on that list of players potentially to leave in the summer, and he's found potentially the only avenue that ball could have taken through the bodies, inside the post, past the outstretched hand of the keeper, to end up in the back of the net. And he's threaded those needles perfectly. That could be a huge, huge goal for our season. Right on the stroke of half-time with the final action of the first half. And as we said, we just need to keep Gladbach off the scoreboard. We've given ourselves a bit of a cushion now, an insurance goal, which means that we can afford to concede and still progress. But I think we just try and set up shop, or shut up shop rather, in the second period. Keep Gladbach off the scoreboard, advance to the final. If you're enjoying the game and today's episode, please take a second to like the video. And if you want to see more realistic FC25 content, be sure to subscribe, not just to catch the next episode of this series, but other realistic career modes, realistic rebuilds, slider updates that might be dropping in the future. And if you want to get ahead of the curve and see those kinds of videos before anybody else, consider becoming a 12th man member of the channel. Membership starts at just $1.99 a month and grants you exclusive early access to all new videos, with tier rewards scaling up from there and including the possibility of being featured in my career mode saves. Thank you to everyone who is already supporting the channel through their membership. It is genuinely very much appreciated and helps the channel to run. But now let's head back out for the second half. So Nuri Sahin has adjusted his tactics ever so slightly heading out for the second half. Just asking Zabitzer and Mecha to play a little more conservatively in centre midfield now, just to protect that back four a little more, just to make sure that we can hold on to this 2-goal lead. What a ball. Oh, Max Bayer's got it all wrong. What a ball in behind. Dropped it perfectly into the stride of Bayer. As we see Zabitz's excellent goal again. Max Bayer had an opportunity there to score an equally excellent goal. It was a difficult finish, to be fair. He was running onto it, trying to hit it on the volley with his weaker foot. You have to at least get that on target, which he failed to do pretty spectacularly. But would have been an excellent goal and would surely have seen us through to the final. Oh, it's good defending from Jakub Kivior, just to force the mistake from the Gladbach attacker. Coco combines with Matoma. Coco once more. We won't be looking for Max Bayer there. As we said, when we get opportunities to keep the ball, we certainly will. And especially with this 2-goal lead, we can afford to play a little less directly than we did in that first period. And if Gladbach aren't going to press, we will just hold possession. And they are not going to press. Very, very high pressing in the first game. Somewhat so in that first half. And suddenly at 3-1 down, they've decided to turtle up and avoid conceding. Interesting approach from the Gladbach manager. Zabitzer threads the needle again. And Julian Brandt finds Couto, who finds Bayer on the edge of the box. Shot straight at Garcia. But Coco couldn't quite get there to poke home the rebound. But the longer this game goes without another goal, the more confident, the more comfortable we are going to feel. Slipped in behind. Schlotterbeck pulled out of position here slightly as well. Does retreat. And Anton manages to get the foot in. Felix Metscher just standing and watching on the edge of the box. Max Bayer will just carry the ball. We'll just hold on to it before finding Matoma. Matoma just gives the ball away. Kivior and Metscher both well positioned to receive the pass. Matoma couldn't find either. And Schlotterbeck, as a result, is again pulled out of position and again has to retreat. He's incredibly tired as well, apparently, Nico Schlotterbeck. I think we're going to have to take him off here before we defend this corner. I've no idea why he's so tired. Plie to come on for Gladbach here as well. And it will just be the one change for Nuri Sahin. I don't know why Nico Schlotterbeck is so tired at this stage. As far as I'm aware, he was at full match fitness heading into the game. Oh. The header won by the Gladbach player, but thankfully just falls to the feet of Jan Kuto. Oh, what a challenge that is. Matoma almost away. But Liner, I think it was, with an unbelievable challenge to prevent Matoma from getting in behind. Matoma starting to tire now as well. We do have Jamie Gittens on the bench, who is a like-for-like replacement. And it's a shot from range. We'll take that all day long if we can hold Gladbach to those kind of half chances. Then again, we will feel incredibly confident that we will make this final. Neuhaus to come on. Omar Radcic, the player on to replace Nico Schlotterbeck. The arrival of Omar Radcic as well as the presence of the likes of Sumaila Koulibaly, again is going to ameliorate the pain that we might feel from selling somebody like Nico Schlotterbeck. Probably less so than Max Bayer and Garassi, because Schlotterbeck's our captain. I think our highest overall player at this point. And one of our most consistent performers over the course of the series as a whole. Julian Brandt. Can he squeeze past his man? Not quite. Does win a corner though, as Gladbach will make their final change of the game. Put all their cards on the table. Kleindeitsch, the man who scored against us in the previous game, comes on to try and grab another goal. Omar Radcic just holds it up on the edge of the box. Finds Julian Brandt once again. Who finds Zavitsa. Oh, and that's such a bad pass. Right in between Kuto and Brandt. And Gladbach can work it clear. Plie. Zavitsa tracking back. Can't win the ball back though. Neither can Jan Kuto, who also is tiring somewhat. Nicely worked from Gladbach down our right-hand side. Zavitsa again well positioned defensively and eventually manages to put the foot in. And Brandt will find Makoko. And Felix and Metscher will find Matoma. But the chance is gone. Just going to have to retain possession through Makoko. Metscher, Zavitsa. It's too aggressive. We don't need to be forcing passes like that when Jan Kuto was an option to just retain possession. And now we've invited pressure. And now Gladbach are looking, oh my God, as they hit the bar. Really looking to get back into this game now. You can tell they're going to be playing more aggressively, more directly than they have been, certainly in this second period. Zavitsa, Kuto, Julian Brandt well positioned. Matoma, I think, based on the little 2D map, had made a good run on that left-hand side. Just couldn't find the space to try and pick him out. And Metscher finds Bayer, doesn't quite have enough burst to put it past the Mönchengladbach defender and get the shot away. Really good ball from Mecha into Bayer, though. Fizzed it into his feet. Oh, nicely cut out by Brandt. And we could exploit Gladbach here. Makoko can't quite find Bayer. He does find Julian Brandt, though, who just lofts it up towards Bayer, who turns their header towards goal, saved comfortably. Gladbach just looking to flood forward immediately on the front foot after that throw out from the goalkeeper. We do look far more solid defensively, though. I know we have conceded a few disappointing goals in recent episodes and in today's episode, but we are improving defensively for sure. Especially with this new 4-2-4 formation, I thought we would be more exposed defensively, and I was just planning to count on our ability to score more goals than the opposition. How Jakub Kivior has not cleared that, I don't know. I'm not sure how many times I pressed past there, but plenty for Jakub Kivior to actually kick the ball. But Gladbach will have a corner, and apparently we have been run ragged today, our back line especially. Anton having to leave the field here, as is Jan Kuto. Benzabaini is on. Jakub Kivior has moved inside to centre-back for the remainder of the game. And Frankowski is on at right-back as well. Zabica has had, despite his excellent goal earlier, another poor game. As well blocked by Omaracic, who's just going to hook clear. Zabica just gives the ball away in an unforgivable position there, deep in our own defensive third. And really, outside of that goal that he scored, he's done very little positive. That's such a good header from Frankowski. The experience really showing there as he just nods the ball back to Louis Waters, who finds Matoma perfectly. Waters is an excellent distributor of the ball. May have his shortcomings in other areas, literal shortcomings, but his distribution is excellent. Well, with 5 minutes remaining, it really looks like we are going to comfortably make the final of the DFB Pokal. It didn't look that way for a moment, or for a short period of time in the first half. Just after Mönchengladbach equalised, I was kind of worried that this game might get away from us. Oh my God. And all of a sudden it's going to be a nervous 5 minutes. This is the shortcoming of Louis Waters. We saw it earlier in the episode against Union Berlin. We're seeing it again here. It's not the best positioning either. There's no reason you shouldn't just be on your line there. And the fact that he's 5'10" means he can't recover. And the ball is just lobbed by Plié into the top corner. And it's going to be a nervy final 5 minutes. I said it was we were going to be comfortably into the final, but how quickly things can change in a game of football. Benzabaini just finds Matoma. And again, the longer that we can keep the ball, the more minutes we tick off this clock, and the closer we come to the final of the German Cup. I wouldn't hate taking it down into the corner with Matoma here either, but be careful not to run it out of play. Gets to the byline as well, Matoma, and we'll just continue. Pulls it back, Max Bayer. And there's Zabica, who secures it once again. He's done two things all game worthy of note, Marcel Zabica. And they've both been to settle our nerves, basically. Scored that goal in the first period to settle our nerves initially. And he's established a 2-goal lead for us once again here late in the second half, to send us definitively, officially, to the final of the DFB Pokal. Again, how quickly things can change in a game of football. We were comfortable one moment, nervous the next. Once again, we are comfortable. Headed clear by Kivior. Makoko finds Brandt. There goes the referee's final whistle. And a couple of disappointing goals yet again. It seems we can't go a game without conceding a disappointing goal. The second more so than the first. But I mean, we're playing a 5'10", 72 overall, 18-year-old goalkeeper. He's going to be prone to some mistakes. And we are going to have to make a decision between now and the end of the season. Are we willing to allow him to make those mistakes as he grows and develops and becomes our number one of the future? Or do we need that true number one between the sticks now? Regardless, I think two things need to happen if we are going to salvage this lost season. The first is that we need to win the DFB Pokal. We've given ourselves a good opportunity to do that by reaching the final. The second is to qualify for a European competition via the Bundesliga. Doesn't even necessarily need to be the Champions League. I'll take a trophy and a Europa League place all day long. So I don't think we can be too disappointed with how the month of March has gone at all. 3-1 loss to Bayer Leverkusen to some extent is to be expected. Disappointing 1-1 draw with Union Berlin. But again, we couldn't fault the performance at all in that game. We played very, very well. And 3 excellent victories, 2 against Mönchengladbach. And Union Berlin in the other semi-final defeated Wolfsburg. So we will be taking on Union Berlin in that final. And with 7 games left to play in the Bundesliga, we are very much in with a shout of qualifying for Europe. We are still very much in with a shout of qualifying for the Champions League. We're going to be going toe-to-toe with the likes of Mönchengladbach and Stuttgart to make that happen. But it's still very much a possibility. Really feels like the team is starting to click now as well. So if we can just cut out those 1 or 2 defensive mistakes that we tend to make in each game, I think we could really have something special on our hands. So we'll look to continue to score goals, to improve defensively, to salvage this lost season in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.